My name is Josh Fain. I'm the director of LandYield, and just by way of a little background, I have a degree in forestry and about 10 years experience developing forest carbon offset projects. And I'm really excited to run through some basics of our program with you all today, and highlight some of the advantages of land yield and the way we work with smaller landowners, non-industrial landowners across the Southeast and the Northeast, and the opportunities that provides. So I'm going to share my screen and run through some slides. Everybody should be seeing this now. Our mission at LandYield is to connect family forests to carbon revenue, and we think this is a great way to help families stay on the land, keep land together, prevent having to subdivide very valuable and valued forest tracts, and preserve their family legacy through the opportunity of this program. So the basic way it works is we work through the American Carbon Registry, and we use 40-year-long programs to develop carbon offsets on your project. And so the way it's broken up is in two basic 20-year periods. The first 20 years is a commercial harvest deferral on all the merchantable timber that's on your property. And then the second 20 years is a selective harvest and monitoring period in which you can opt to either continue to sell carbon credits, or you can opt to do some sustainable harvesting. The 40 years is to ensure what carbon markets refer to as permanence, but it's just the durability of a carbon credit. And it's a standard that's set by the American Carbon Registry and shared by a lot of other registries. But it basically standardizes offsets so that companies that are purchasing these know what they're getting when they're buying an emission reduction ton through these registries. They know that that's consistent. You can continue to optimize non-timber resources on your property, such as pine straw, if that's what you're doing, or hunting leases, or fishing, hunting, camping, that sort of thing. Anything that doesn't really impact the timber resource is still allowed on your property. Unlike some other programs that are out there, we use remote sensing to get most of the carbon data from your forest. So we don't require an on-site inventory. We do all our reporting and our monitoring and that sort of thing throughout the project remotely. So it's kind of a big advantage to other programs where we don't have to come out and spend a week or two on your property putting in permanent forest plots. So we're a very light touch in terms of how we interface with you on the ground and on your property. We really respect people's privacy and the fact that people want to, have these forests for a reason, and it's not usually to have a lot of people coming and going. This slide just sort of outlines how we determine how much carbon can be sold as additional, which is a term used in carbon markets to just mean carbon that's being sequestered and stored above a business as usual baseline. And without going into it too much, basically what we model is how the forest would be managed if it were optimizing net present value of the timber, under, of course, the legal constraints of whatever state you have to be in. So we model that, and then we model your forest as it grows. And of course, we measure it yearly through the remote sensing through time. And what you see there in the slide is the yellow is the carbon that's considered additional, and those are the tons that we can sell through the carbon market. And I guess just for folks that aren't familiar, trees sequester carbon by taking in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. They convert the carbon into the structure of the wood, and then of course respirate oxygen. And so like a tree's dry weight, that is, if you took a tree and you were to suck all the water out of it, half that dry weight would be carbon. So that's sort of a rule of thumb way to think about what we're talking about here.
Yeah, you're giving basically that carbon credit is this tradable permit of what that tree is sequestering that you then are giving to ESG individuals to get into that market to qualify like their ESG goals, right?
Correct. We help companies reach their net zero and emission reduction goals by increasing carbon sequestration in private forest land.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
that's a brief way of saying
Money in the
what we're
trees.
doing here. Yeah. Um, so there is flexibility built into our program in terms of what you can do in the property other than commercial harvesting, which is not allowed. But you can work with a forester to implement forest health improvement treatments, such as like prescribed burning, if that's what the forest needs, or treating pests, outbreaks, if you have any of those. Anything the forest needs to enhance its productivity, and it happens in supervision with a forestry professional is allowed in the program. You can continue to cut and collect firewood for personal uses. You can clear small areas for food plots, for hunting, or cabin. Um, and if you want to sell the property during the project term, that's allowed as well. We just have to work with the new landowner to try and continue the project. And then, unlike some other programs, forest certification is not a requirement under our program, but it is an option. So we tried to design this methodology, and we worked with the American Carbon Registry here to try and make this methodology work really well for private family forest owners. And for those, again, that aren't familiar, the carbon registries are sort of the standard setting bodies for how these offsets are created and traded. And so they create methodologies that standardize how we have to go about collecting the data, analyzing the data from your forest, and modeling that data such that we know how much additional carbon is being sequestered. So that the American Carbon Registry helps standardize that, and then they're the platform through which we trade these credits. And ACR is one of the largest in North America, and has been in operation since 1996. So, the key benefits of joining our program is that we provide you regular cash flow for growing your forest, basically, and keeping your forest intact. You can continue to earn income from non-timber forest products, like I mentioned. And so, you don't have to necessarily now choose between having your forest, having it be intact, such that your family can continue to enjoy all the wonderful things that these forest lands provide, and having money. I mean, this helps a lot of landowners. We hear from people like Stuart all the time that our payments help them maintain the roads and fences and culverts and all that good stuff on the property, as well as just helping pay the taxes and other expenses, so that they can keep the land together, not subdivided, and keep it in the family. And of course, that has all kinds of environmental benefits other than just carbon sequestration, right? I mean, recreation, water quality, air quality, wildlife habitat, etc. We believe our program is a little different than other carbon projects that have been out there, and other carbon programs that have been out there, in that we do pay generally a higher revenue share than a lot of other programs. Our credits are registered, as I mentioned, through the American Carbon Registry. And key is we do a turnkey project development, meaning you as a landowner, once you've enrolled in the project, don't have to worry about any of the monitoring or the reporting requirements. We have a very simple attestation form you fill out to just attest that you're adhering to the program requirements. Other than that, we handle all of the registry requirements for you, which is a key question to ask when you're looking at these different kind of programs. This is a really high world-class collaboration, we believe, between ourselves, the American Carbon Registry that I've mentioned several times, and Finite Carbon, who developed our platform that I'm going to show you here in just a few minutes, and helps us manage all the forest data. And the end result is high integrity, verified carbon offsets that get the highest prices available on the marketplace. Getting started in this is really easy. You can go to landyield.com, get a lot more detailed information on our program, read landowner testimonials, see our frequently asked questions, and get all the details you need. Once you've got all that information, you can also get a free general estimate of how much your carbon payments might be right on our website. Then you can go to corecarbon.com and create your profile, and then verify your identification, identify the tax parcels that you want to be a part of your carbon project, and then upload your deeds and tax bills, copies of those. And then basically you're done, and we send you contracts, and you can start getting paid the quarter following your enrollment. So unlike some other programs, again, we don't make you wait until we've issued and sold the credits. That can be year to 2 years before you see any payments. We start paying you in the quarter immediately following your enrollment. So here's a screenshot from the platform, Core Carbon. As I said, we have all this forest data is already preloaded into this platform. So once you come on there, you can just find your tax parcels, kind of similar to what Craig showed in the LandGate interface. You find your tax parcels, you click on them, it'll show you what forest in your tax parcels are eligible for our program. Not all forest land is. It has to be of a merchantable size and density. So some forest land, if it's very young, is not eligible for our program. But this will show you what's eligible. You just click on the parcels and it'll give you an instant free estimate. And this is Mr. Meese's project right here. He kindly agreed to let us show his project. So we would have even more tangible thing to talk about here. And you can instantly see how many forested acres here, 129, that were eligible on his property, and then his revenue projections. So I'll let Stuart talk in a minute about his experience with the platform, but we believe it is about as easy as we can make it. We're always trying to prove, of course, but it is a relatively simple process for getting that revenue estimate and seeing you don't have to wait a long time and go through a lot of steps before you see what are we talking about here? How much money could I get? That's right up front with us. Forest types and conditions that make a good fit for a project with us is like long rotation forests, such as like hardwoods, mixed hardwood forest. Certain pines may or may not be a good fit. Like if you have longleaf pine on your property, that can be a good fit. But short rotation pine plantations, not generally a good fit for our projects. Areas of high conservation value, such as rare habitats, can be a great fit. Sensitive areas where you just wouldn't want to do a lot of harvesting, riparian zones, and just anywhere where you have mature merchantable timber, but it's not really what you want to do with a property is harvest. Like you'd rather do something else with it and keep it intact. And I guess I will add to this, and I think it was one of the questions that I saw before this was if there is already a legal encumbrance on the timber and you already have a conservation easement that says you cannot cut the timber on your property, then unfortunately we cannot do a carbon project because the timber is already protected. So this has to be additional protection on top of what you already have. It's just worth mentioning. So there's pretty much 6 easy steps in the process. I won't go through them all, but I mean, you go on the platform, you evaluate the economics, you get that instant quote, you submit your documentation, we'll review your documentation to make sure everything's in line. We'll send you contracts to review. You sign up and then you start receiving payments. All of this can happen in a matter of weeks instead of years. And so we're really excited about this opportunity. Like I said, I've been working on forest carbon projects for quite a while, and I've worked on a lot of iterations of trying to figure out ways to make it economical for smaller landowners to take advantage of the opportunity. And up until recently, this has been a super difficult thing because of the rigorous on-ground inventories that were required, and it just didn't make a lot of sense on forests that were smaller than 5,000 to 10,000 acres. With us, you can, if you have as little as 40 acres, you are eligible for our program. So 40 to 5,000 acres now is eligible within our program. So there's our information right there. I ran through a lot of information there really fast, and I know we're going to have some question and answer and chat back and forth. So I look forward to that. And thanks for the opportunity, Taryn, to run through
Yeah.
that.